All right, guys, my name is Joe, and today we're going to do some hex lighting in my new garage that we're remodeling. So we did a lot of work already. We got it all painted, new garage door opener, got some air ran, and we are just I moved this one light we had over, and we are going to do some hex lighting, one on each side. So let's go unbox this thing and take a look. So we're gonna do two of them. Now, in all my looking on YouTube and whatnot, I see various methods for installation, but I think we've come up with probably the easiest method to put these in because they are a bit of a pain in the butt. So here we are. So we got some wire ties, anchors, we got all the connectors here, and I think once we get under that, these are all the light beams, and there is a ton of them, so you got to fully assemble this whole thing. And anyway, so let me get organized and I'll show you what we've done so far. All right, guys, so the first step was to get this thing pre-assembled on the floor for a couple reasons. First off, we just wanted to make sure that the measurements that we read were good. And so we were just backing those up, making sure our measurements were correct for our layout. The second was just to get an idea of the overall scale. Now we are going to lift this thing in one piece, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. And this is the trick to doing this thing very fast. So basically these just all, super simple. You pop them all together with these little connectors on each one. This one actually has, they all have protective film on them, which is, in terms of difficult, it was actually harder to get that film off on each one. So what I'm doing, because we may move this and drag it along on the floor a little bit, I'm just taking off the edges here, and then essentially what we got is these connectors that pop in like this. And the way this thing is powered is essentially you'll have a cord like this, and it basically just plugs in to the end of that, and then that powers the whole strip. So you've got some options in terms of where you can put your power. You can pretty much plug it in anywhere, but what you need to do, for instance, like if I was going to have it here, I need to put this kind of connector here so I can have a power outlet like that. So I haven't decided exactly where we're going to put the power corner yet. That's ultimately where it needs to get to, but I want it to be pretty concealed and hidden. So I think what I may do is put it on that corner, this corner over here, and then fish a wire all the way across to this. And I'm just gonna have like a remodel box put in there, and we'll do that. So the next thing we're gonna do is just plug this thing in, make sure there's no problems, make sure everything works, and then we'll be starting to get the layout done. Okay, here we go. One little hack I wanted to show you guys is once you have these things in here, they're pretty tough to get off. What I figured out is if you take the zip tie, just a regular zip tie, and just kind of put it under that tab right there on the end, like so, pulls right off. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, folks, I think we got it all laid out. Let me flip this around and show you where we're at. So what I decided is I basically wanted to center this in this portion of the garage, so centered on both sides, and then pushed back a little bit towards that end. A couple reasons. As you walk in the main door here from the house, the presentation is going to be such, and I didn't want the lights directly overhead, so I figured it'd be cool if I pushed them back a little bit, and then you'll see, they'll be sitting over the cars pretty nicely. So a couple things, and this is why layout is so important. So for my electrical, you can see a little mark right here. That's where the next truss is. So I wanted to have this end of the light, where my electrical is, land in between those trusses. So when I drill a hole right here, I'll be in between the trusses, and it'll be an easy fish over to that, okay? The other thing too is we got a little bit of a interference with the garage strut. I think we're okay on this side, but also same on the other side. And so how I'm dealing with that is I'm making sure that this little edge right here sits on this side of that garage strut, okay? And this is why layout is so important. You don't want to start building it and all of a sudden, you know, you're having to go through a garage strut and cut and all this stuff. And so what I've got up here is I just measured lines, measured 38 inches off here, 38 inches off here, put a couple anchors, and then just tied a ribbon across, and that gives me a nice straight line. And then same here, 17 and a half, 17 and a half, and that gives me a nice straight line. And so that's our edge there. And so when we put this thing up, we can line up this back edge and this side edge, and we have a nice square light in the middle of the garage where you want it. Now you could also use a laser for this. I don't have a laser. I didn't want to spend a couple $100 to get one. So, you know, and this really only took me about 5 minutes to put these strings up. Not a big deal. So anyway, next phase is to get this thing lifted up and get all the holes marked to drill. So stay tuned. All right, guys, so here we are. We are ready for our next phase, and that is lifting this light up and getting all the holes marked. But before we do that, I'm going to reveal our secret weapon here. So let me flip this around. Ta-da! This is a drywall lift. So we rented this from Home Depot. It was $60, and I've got some really inexpensive 2x4s here. I think I got about another $15 in those. And we're going to build a quick H-frame, really simple, that's going to line up with these grids in order to put this thing in place and hold it in place while we mark holes and then while we secure it. So I got to admit, this wasn't my idea. My buddy Jeremy came up with this idea, and this is basically his brainchild. Now, he's a little bit busy tonight, so unfortunately he can't help me, but I'm going to see if I can do this by myself, which will just go to prove another point that you can install these lights by yourself without having to go one little beam at a time and trying to assemble this on the ceiling by yourself. So I'm gonna take a whack at this, and let's see how we do. So I'm gonna start working out how this H-frame is gonna look and how it's gonna mount on there, and I'll check back in with you here once I've figured that out. All right, folks, so we got our H-frame built on top of the drywall lift. So let me show you what that. So it's very simple, just a little H-frame. We're 48 wide and 10 long. And what that's gonna do, it's gonna land right here in the middle at 48, right here in the middle, and then going across, it's gonna land about right here so that all our holes, all our anchor locations will be accessible from underneath. Now I'm gonna tell you, this thing's a little janky. It's kind of loose when you pull it up. So getting this up onto is probably gonna be the sketchiest part. So I'm gonna work on that right now. One thing I wanted to mention real quick, guys, is just to show you how this H-frame is attached to the drywall lift. This thing had a couple of holes in it. It's weird, so I just used the holes and put a couple of big screws in here at an angle, and that kind of holds the whole thing on there. But it was funny because I took this off and then there was a hole in there. Interesting. Anyway, so when I take it back, I'll put it back on and it'll be good as new. All right, guys, so we got this up onto the frame. I tried to time lapse it, but I screwed something up on the area that I was filming. So I'm gonna try to film the second one going up just so you can see how I got it up on the frame, but it's up there. So it's sitting just like we hoped it would. This is sitting right in the middle here. And I've got these little screws put on just to hold it in place. It's not screwed into anything, it's just keeping it from sliding off. So we're right down the pipe here, and then our side ones are sitting right where we wanted them. So far, It's just like we wanted it. So what I'm gonna do now is very slowly and very carefully try to crank that thing up to the ceiling. So I'm gonna try to time lapse that also. All right, folks, she's up there. That wasn't too bad at all. We flip it out. So we are pushed tight against the ceiling at this point. And I gotta say, man, we are pretty much spot on. I think my string is slightly out of square, but it's over 10 feet. We're off about 3/16 of an inch. Hardly noticeable. But I am lined up on the back. I'm lined up on the side. And so the next stage here is I'm just gonna go through and basically mark all these holes with a drill bit. And I got 36 of them to do. So I'm gonna just try to zip through it as fast as I can and see how that goes. All right, guys, that wasn't too bad, except for a little bit of a drywall shower, drilling all those holes, but you probably saw me running around under it a few times. I just wanted to triple check that I got every single hole, and I did hit a stud a couple of times, so I marked those to make sure that I didn't try to put anchors in it. And I just wanted to make sure 100% that everything was drilled and set up. So we are ready for the next phase, which is going to be to bring this thing back down and then go ahead and put in a bunch of anchors. So I'm going to try to time lapse that too. So here we go. All right, guys, that wasn't so bad other than a little bit of a drywall shower again. A couple issues too was, you can see on some of these, got a little bit of a paint chip that came out when I got the anchor in. And then I actually had one right here that the anchor blew straight through, and I think that's probably on a joint or something, I'm not sure. So what I'm gonna end up having to do is some kind of a repair on that, and then I'm gonna spend the extra 5-10 minutes and just go through and hit all of these, touch them all up with paint, just to, give it a nice clean look. So I'll get that taken care of, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, guys, so we got all this stuff touched up. It's still drying a little bit. And then on that one anchor that's right here that spun through, what I ended up doing is I wrapped a bunch of epoxy around it, and fortunately there was still some meat left in the drywall, so I just screwed it back up there. And I think it'll take a screw. I'm just gonna let it dry for a little longer, and I'll probably do that one last. But anyway, our next step is to roll this over here and get it up for the last time, and then start securing it. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Well, folks, that wasn't that bad at all. Once I got the first couple screws lined up and plugged in, everything just kind of fell into place, man. And I gotta say, I really love the look of it. My only beef, and I wish I kind of would have thought this through a little bit more, is I think I should have centered it more with the garage door than with the garage itself. So if I ever had to do this again, I think that that's probably what I would do. So I would shift this whole thing over a little bit so it was more centered with the garage door as opposed to centered with the entire garage. So, but you know, hey, live and learn. It's still pretty awesome. I'm gonna fire it up for the first time. Honestly, guys, I have not watched this. I have not turned this on yet, so I hope everything works. But oh gosh, I feel like Clark Griswold. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Holy moly. Oh, that looks fantastic, man. Wow. It really brightens up the garage, obviously. I still got to go back and do the one corner where I had the failed anchor, but I'm gonna just wait and really make sure that epoxy sets up before I try to do anything with it, and just be very ginger with it. But gosh, man, everything else went so smoothly. You know, I watched a million videos, and these guys, you know, they're struggling and they're working, and they got 4 guys holding this thing up, and you know, this whole thing, and you know, they're trying to piece it together one at a time, and it's crooked, and you know, this thing was a lifesaver, man. Thank you, Jeremy, for the idea of putting together this very simple H-frame. I mean, total with the rental and that, I think I'm in at $80. And the time saver and the fact that I was able to do it myself without really another guy or any other help is amazing, man. So it totally worth the $80. And I'll be able to use that lumber for something else, so it's not a total loss. But yeah, man, so far so good. So obviously I still got to run my electrical over. We got to do another one. So we'll be probably doing that tomorrow. It's getting kind of late tonight. So I think I'll have some help on that one. I'll get that one knocked out pretty quick. But once I have it all put together, I will come back and show you guys what it looks like with both lights in here. The other cool thing is in a couple of days, they're gonna come in, and I have a professional epoxy team. They're gonna come in epoxy this floor. So it's just really gonna pop in here. The Mustang's gonna look great. The truck that's under construction is gonna look great. And yeah, man, this is just gonna be like a display case for me. And I'm gonna be keeping all my work in here. And this is gonna be just a real nice space to keep a couple of my toys. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching so far. I'll check back in once I have this all done. All right, guys, welcome back. We got the hex lights completed, man, and I am just over the moon. It's super freaking cool, and I'm super happy. So let me round, and let's go take a look. All right, drum roll, please. Wow, look at that, man. It just freaking pops, doesn't it? And I gotta say, after that second one went up here, I'm actually pretty happy with the placement. I know originally I wanted to move this over and center it with the garage, but when that second one went up, it just balanced everything out, and it just looks freaking super cool. So my buddy Jeremy helped me with this side. Man, we had that thing out of the box, assembled, up and online in probably an hour 15 minutes. It was so quick, because everything I learned on this one, we applied to this side, and it went super fast. I got my electrical all hooked up here. You can kind of see, all you see is that little wire going right into the ceiling. And that comes out and it pops over here to this box. And everything's wired there, same on this side. So it's nice and clean. And man, I'm just super stoked on how this turned out. The garage is coming together really nicely. My good friend Aiden helped me put together this. This is a water trap for my compressed air system. It's all pro pressed together. Got some valves here to drain out any moisture that gets in the air lines. So very cool. But man, I'm really glad this is the way I decided to go. I just want to say super thanks and big shout out to my buddy Jeremy, who came up with the idea for the drywall and for all the help in terms of painting the garage and getting this thing online. He's been a huge help in helping me get this done. So good friend. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. To kind of share my idea of getting this thing put up in the most simplest fashion, and hopefully this will help everybody else in terms of getting these things put in super easy and not struggling through it, because they're a great option. And don't be afraid of the install. It's not bad at all. Just take your time, get that drywall lift, man. It's gonna make all the difference. But anyway, signing off for now. I'll probably check back in with everybody once I have the epoxy done, which is here in a couple days. So really looking forward to that and being totally finished. So anyway, guys, thank you very much. Take care.